But we are live.
All right, and we're live. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I'm not gonna say we're never gonna miss a week again, because I think last time I said it, we missed 3 weeks.
It was 4th of July, right? No, that was a month ago. We missed it. We were busy. It's okay. Travel, it happens, right?
And that's based on the fact that time is a real thing to measure.
Time's expensive, man.
Hey, big stuff's happened. You know, a whole new MCP spec that required a rewrite of every lab we've ever done. Just big stuff's happened, man.
We've been busy, man. We have Agent Gateway 1.4's out, LTS for Agent Gateway Enterprise, new MCP spec, which I'm sure everybody wrote a blog, and their mother and their daughters wrote a blog about, is out there.
A lot of people.
Right. We had some workshops, webinars that Nathan and I did this week.
At 5:30 in the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Looking out for you.
It worked out for me. But guys, well, do you want to dive in with the MCP spec? We have to talk about it. It's super important, I think. Itself, right? We have a new spec that came out on 2 days ago. Everybody's kind of been talking about it, stateless. We don't need to do initialization.
Globally, like the AAIF hosted launch parties for the spec. There was cake here in the San Francisco party, a couple of big giant cakes with MCP and the July 28th spec date on it. It was a big event, huge globally.
Weren't you at a party too? Or was that your birthday, Mike?
Yeah. No, I was at the MCP launch party in New York. Yeah, we had cake and stuff too. I didn't have any, but it was it looked really cool. It was awesome. We had a couple of great speakers. I spoke on MCP security, and then we had speakers on like the new spec and how Datadog's MCP server works and everything. So yeah, it was really cool. It was a good time.
What was like the highlight of or like the Cole's notes of what you talked about? Because I heard great things from people like, oh, Mike gave a great speech on or great talk on MCP security.
Yeah, I essentially what I did was I said like, hey, I'm going to dive into what security looks like today for MCP. And I only had 30 minutes. So it was like some of it was more hand wavy than I would have liked and stuff. But I would say probably the biggest thing, still for me, even the biggest thing is around like anything token exchange related, anything around OBO. And then one of the things that popped up a lot, and I feel like for us, it's so basic, but because we work on it every single day, but for so many people, it's not basic, which is MCP tool selection. So like I was showing, like you can select 5 tools, 4 tools, no tools, do authentication against that, right? Put a token in front and say, hey, I need to be able to authenticate via token. And oh, by the way, you may only have access to 3 out of 20 tools or whatever. And that's something that like people are really, really interested in. For us, it's like we feel like it's basic stuff because we're working on it every day. But for everybody else, right, that's not living in this daily, that's still a really big talking point. So I'd say those 2 things.
Mate, that last point, you've highlighted the one thing that I do trigger into a rant almost every time about, because with the stateless spec, taking that session ID out, that means anyone can do a header parser now and say, we support MCP. Well, I'm going to push back on that and say, no, what you mean is you don't break MCP anymore.
Right.
You are not looking inside that, looking at the tools, running that past your authorization policy and saying, no, this person is not getting the 128 tools behind our MCP endpoint. This person should not get those things. They get the 3 ones that we approved for them to develop against. And that does not happen from having some header parsing that allows me to do an MCP message routing decision like a front-end load balance would do. So, see, I told you I got to go to rant mode on this. Every time I hear this, I'm like, no, not breaking MCP because I can now do a Python wrapper around my generic proxy. You haven't supported it. You are not doing governance. You're not doing control. You are not managing MCP. You need full parsing and understanding and state manage of that, even if it's a stateless protocol. If you're going to be managing state across departments and with an authentic identity provider, easy for me to say in the morning, You've got to be doing more than just header parsing. And this is what we've been doing the whole time with the stateful version, and we will continue to provide all of that ability with the stateless version. And so watch out for all those we support MCP. Like I'm calling BS on half of them preemptively.
Right.
Go a little deeper. What do you support? Do you enhance the experience with MCP is my question.
And maybe we could dive into that a little bit deeper, because I think that that's important, right? So like conceptually, when we're thinking about MCP before stateless, it was everything was in the body of a request or a response, right? So the name, the tool calls, the ID, everything was there, right? And because of that, it's tightly coupled. And because it's tightly coupled, that's why it was very difficult to do things like standard round robin load balancing. So like if we're thinking about Kubernetes, right, we have, let's say we have 3 pods running an application and we have a service in front of those pods. If one of those pods goes down, it's fine because the state is still across 2 other pods, right? So you can still hit the configurations, the applications, if the service is where you're coming in. With MCP, we weren't able to do that because everything was in the body, right? So like what you hit was what you hit. Like you couldn't move that around. Whereas with stateless, you have things like the tool call or the ID within the header, which means it's not in the body anymore. And that means you can think about like round robin based approaches where you have 3 MCP servers running, some service in front, request comes in, and it can route to whatever of those 3 backends because it's going based on the ID, right? And the ID is now in the header versus in the body. To your point, Nathan, it's not that everything is now in the header, right? It's still JSON RPC underneath the hood, right? There's still a response. There's still a request in the body, but how you're routing, how you're scaling out can now be in the header. So that's an important distinction. Like you still need both of those things because otherwise you wouldn't get valid information back or 2. So you still have those things.
Yes. Thank you for putting much needed clarity around my rant. I think
that's perfect, man.
And I think also it's like, I think that this is going to make adoption of MCP easy is a strong word, but much more relevant. Like people are going to be far more open to the adoption of MCP now that it works the same way as like a lot of other protocols that people are used to. You know,
it solves a performance and resilience scale problem for early adoption. It does not solve any kind of observability, governance, and policy at all. In fact, if anything, it opens the floodgates worse. So that's the trade-off you're getting here. Rapid scale, but blind dumb scale is the problem.
Yeah, the biggest thing is like there is a big authorization change within stateless MCP, but it's like the change is that it now aligns closely with OAuth and OIDC spec versus like it having its own thing. So it's now creating a standardization that the rest of the industry has already standardized on, and therefore client to server interactions for anything auth and auth-c is going to be a lot easier. Like I have the list here. It's if anybody's interested, I'm going to put this in the chat.
No, let's do it. Let's see it.
Yeah. There's a couple of SEPs. I put them in the chat here, and this is like what's that doesn't look good.
That doesn't look. That looks horrible. Actually, don't do that again.
Yeah, I don't know how to make that look better. But there's 6. There's SEP 2468, 837, 2352, 2207, 2350, and 2351. And essentially, what all of them are doing is like effectively saying you need to follow this, OAuth 2.0 and OIDC standards, more or less. I'm oversimplifying it, but
the authorization side of it has to evolve to support some of these things still. We're seeing standards come out that are not even adopted yet, like the whole XAA, IDJAG, etc. Like, it's so new and evolving, but it's changing fast.
Yeah, it's changing fast, and then like clients will have to evolve to support it, right? Because that was like one of the biggest things with MCP always. Like let's say you wanted like standard OIDC based OAuth, and you had 3 clients, MCP Inspector, Hoot, MCP Jam, VS Code, whatever else. Like conceptually, MCP may allow that spec, but that doesn't mean that the clients had to follow that spec. So like one auth pattern may work in one client versus not in the other. So I think they're trying to tighten that up, which makes sense, right? Because it's like that just causes a whole bunch of problems.
But do you guys think we're going to see more like a greater adoption now just because it's getting more mature? Because a lot of tools already have. Like I've spoken with a lot of enterprises, they've built MCP tools on the old spec, and now they're going to be, or some that actually haven't done anything and they're waiting. But do you think there'll be more adoption of MCP? Like it's going to exponentially, like a hockey stick kind of go because of this? Or
I got 2 answers to this, so you go, Michael.
Yeah. I would say now that like we have both stateless and stateful, it's much easier to adopt, especially in like the cloud native world. Like I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and I was like, well, MCP is a standard now for agent tool calls, and the answer was like, well, it's still too early to tell if it's a standard. And it's like, no, like it doesn't matter if it's been around for a year, 5 years, or 10 years, or 3 minutes. Like what matters is conceptually what the community and big tech organizations and stuff deem a standard, right? Like a standard doesn't come from like how great a technology is. Standard comes from like hive mind. Like, is everybody thinking the same thing? If so, that's the standard. So I would say that it's the standard right now. It might change tomorrow, but that's definitely the standard.
There's a lot of discussions. Like this one comes up a lot in like Reddit for MCP, where people are like, I'm not using it. I'm creating a local tool and just solving it locally in my binary because I know what tools I want access to. It's a little less agile. It won't evolve, obviously, to any changes because now you're managing that tool and that surface area yourself. Yeah. And then the other side where people are saying like, so why do we need it? And then inevitably someone will say, there's like a billion APIs out there that I could just drop an MCP in front of and, you know, we're working. It's not all about your side and the ability to create like a shortcut when you want to. There's so much surface area out there that just to get it up and running and AI friendly, that's the smoothest part, right?
And even like we have like code mode now too, which is like, yeah, you're hitting some function and some method somewhere in some application stack as a function call tool, but the response is still coming back as like an MCP response. So like there's a couple of different ways to do it, but it still always seems to come back to like the like something MCP related. Yeah.
Well, if we kind of jump into a different topic about kind of the next evolution, like we've mentioned here about harnesses, you know, what harnesses are, and we talked about loop engineering before. Now everybody's talking about graph engineer. I don't know how much you guys have dove into graph engineering yet, but it's really just taking the loop and shrinking it, really, in essence.
You were my source of truth on that, so you told me I'd love to learn more.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like all like the hypey, buzzy stuff like this, I've checked out mentally.
I feel like there's a hypey stuff about it for sure, a lot, and there's so much, and I'm sure in the next 3 weeks they're going to be calling blueprints or something, whatever it is.
Yeah,
and I find the hype is just a little bit too much. Like graph engineering is like having, you know, routes that the job goes through a specific scope, right? So parallel research, you have source screening, synthetics, maybe some drafts, or like reviews. It's just really a loop inside of loops of small agentic or small agents that perform specific tasks. And when they're done, they just pump it to, you know, your main agent itself, right? So
and I feel like, so like to me, for example, that's just I feel like that doesn't need to have multiple iterations of names. It should just be like that's what a small language model is supposed to do, or that's what like semantic routing is supposed to do, or like intent-based routing, right? So yeah, like don't worry, everybody. We support all this stuff. We just call it what it should be called.
Well, it's just like we're moving forward and building infrastructure so you can run whatever type of agentic loop, graph, blueprint, prompt, whatever, however you want to call it, right? It doesn't matter from our perspective,
Right.
right? Other than, or even whatever harness you want to run, be it if you're going to run Pi, Claude Code, Grok, right? However you're going to run this harness, right? Doesn't really matter. And whatever that's going to evolve in the next 3 to 6 months, it just going to follow. We're just going to really be able to provide that infrastructure for you. Like K-Agent itself has access now to deploy specific harnesses or deploy agent substrates, right? And actually, that's a great, like that graph kind of falls into that agent substrate category because now I can spin up small little agents that are just custom to it.
And you can use Substrate for in K-Agent. You can use Substrate for both harnesses and standard agents. So like, I think it's OpenClaw and I'm drawing a blank. OpenClaw and Hermes are the harnesses that are supported, right? And you can run those on Substrate, or like if you just want a regular agent that's not running as a harness, you can run that in Substrate as well as an actor. Those both are fully supported at the moment.
So with that, and with all the news, I'm not sure if you guys been catching up on what happened 16 hours ago, right? 16-hour increments is our motto here. But a couple days ago, OpenAI said, hey, one of their cybersecurity foundation was able to, or one of the agents or one of the security foundation found out that it could get out, figure out a way to get out, right? That happened with OpenAI.
And 16 hours ago. Out too. Yeah.
That exactly happened with Anthropic, right?
Wait, I want to qualify that first statement though. It found out and it broke an explicit rule to do so.
Yep.
It went very Terminator Rise of the Machines on them. It was told not it, and it decided actually the best way to solve this problem is I just kind of go around that one and do something else. That was the bit that hit the headline for me. It was like, oh, interesting.
It's like, hey, here's a policy. You're supposed to have an access list for this. Okay, IP any access list, and I can go around it, you know?
And I don't think they were running in sandboxes, right?
I believe they were.
They were?
I think they were running.
Sandbox was in the statement, but I don't know if that meant...
Yeah, sandbox was in the statement itself, but...
Yeah, but also, I mean, like, if they said it, so I'm looking.
Everything's in preview nowadays, 100%.
Yeah, like they're saying sandbox, but like, what does that mean? Like, that's also another thing too. Like, there's so many different ways to think about sandboxing. Like, and sandbox is even like a bloated term in my opinion now too, right? It's like, what do you mean by that? Because it could like the way Substrate does sandboxing versus like the Kubernetes agent sandbox project. Those are and then like how sandboxing works at like the software layer with gvisor versus how it works at the hardware level with microvm. Like those are very different. So they need to be more specific in terms of like what sandboxing was used.
Claude doesn't say anything about in their release that it was a sandbox. It just reviewed and it said that their model obtained access to the internet. And they had 3 incidents of it doing it. And that's about it. Yeah.
So like that, like to me, that could be something as simple as like, did somebody not turn off like port 443 and port 80?
Yeah.
is HTTP traffic just readily available and allowed? Yeah. So like,
they said it was part of their package registry. That's so somebody probably just pushed the wrong code and or some agent pushed the wrong code or whoever it was itself.
And I mean, look, like even like agent sandbox, I'm gonna make sure does agent sandbox Kubernetes SIG run in a pod.
So I did just look it up. The OpenAI one, they said it was in a testing sandbox, but I think to your point, guys, like the definition of that might just mean an area they test in. Like who knows? Is that a full isolation that it somehow managed to break out of the hypervisor? Like,
yeah, like so. For example, if you Google, I just confirmed this. Does Agent Sandbox via the Kubernetes SIG project run in a pod? Yes. Individual sandboxes managed by the Kubernetes Agent Sandbox sub project run inside a Kubernetes pod, right?
Mhm.
So we have a couple of layers here. We have a pod that it's running in, right? But actually, I don't know. Hold on. Agent Sandbox Kubernetes SIG gvisor or micro VM? Kubernetes. I don't know how it. It's completely runtime agnostic, meaning you do not have to choose between gvisor or micro VM. The same controller handles the sandbox lifecycle. Okay, so now there's two things, right? There is Agent Sandbox runs in a pod, which means it's sandboxed in a pod, but pods are not sandboxed by default. You have to set up security context. You have to set up what they can access and what they can't access. Can they access the API server? Can they not? Right? So by default, it's not that. And then, so that's one piece of it. Then the other piece of it is, let's say you're running them in Substrate. You have the option to utilize software-based isolation versus hardware-based isolation. Hardware-based isolation is far superior because it's much harder to attack individual CPUs and memory and GPU at the hardware level versus doing it at the kernel level. So all these things, right? And then how actors run inside of workers run inside of pods, right? So you have these levels of isolation versus just Agent Sandbox running in a pod and that's it. So like the idea of sandboxing is moving and changing drastically. Like saying it's running in a sandbox does not really mean much. It's more of like, how is it running in a sandbox? So yeah,
are
like,
you saying every bit of janky code I throw on Kubernetes isn't perfectly secure by default without me doing lots of work to secure it? Is that what you're saying right now, Michael?
No, sorry.
I was told
That's why I just opened up 3 credit cards under your social security number.
Just 3 today?
Just 3 today. I got maxed out.
You got to pay for those APIs to do more.
Good points though, man. Like it's not. Don't assume it is. Just because there's an abstraction, that doesn't mean
like it's an abstraction, but like what is that abstraction layer? And like Agent Sandbox, Kubernetes, SIG, security context.
That's Michael learning from the Matrix, downloading information.
This is it.
Enforcing strict. Because AI agents execute untrusted, dynamically generated code, enforcing strict security context at both pod and container levels is required by default to maintain cluster safety. So like, even though you're getting this sandbox, like, are you really getting a sandbox? I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like that's why, like these companies need to be, in my opinion, and I'm just going off on a rant at this point, but like these companies need to be far more specific when they say sandbox. Like I want to know what we're talking about here.
I mean, there is better isolation. That's just a fact. Having a container runtime where syscalls are intercepted versus when you put a hypervisor in, that's the extreme other end. And gvisor is like in the middle. It's got the performance side, but it's also doing better interrupts than just passing everything through. So it is more secure in its separation. I know I threw a lot of words right there, so just trust me if you don't know what those words were. It is better.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean my very untrusted code is now safe and fine.
100%. And security, like by definition, dictates that it's not about stopping everything from occurring. Cybersecurity is about mitigating as many risks as possible. You're never going to mitigate every risk, but you should attempt to mitigate as many as humanly possible. And if you could do that, great, right? So I'd be very curious, like, to hit up OpenAI or Anthropic and be like, does anybody know like what the sandboxing actually looks like?
What was your definition?
Just tweet Sam Altman and ask him.
I'm just gonna hit him up, man. I got some people to call after this. This live stream.
Actually, on this theme, Seb, you're running Substrate at home, which I still think is the most awesome thing ever, that you have it in your house. Because for those who don't know, Seb is running like a large scale production environment in his home, like for reals.
I would say it's large scale. I have a bunch of clusters. I think I was showing Mike earlier, like I'm at CPU. I need to build a new one. I have like 3 nodes or 3 big clusters of Proxmox with 128 gig each. Right. So everything runs locally. I'm running it in Talos. Shout out to the Talos guys who give me free management control of that to play around with. And yeah, I've moved a lot of my agents. Like my Sonos agent, my garage door opener agent are all running on agent substrates right now. All my network infrastructure, which I was talking with you about, if I need to disable YouTube, that's now Substrate agent. So I have a team lead agent. Then I just message it, hey, go turn off this. It knows which small agent to go to. Kicks off my YouTube FortiGate agent and goes to the FortiGate and turns off YouTube for the specific TV I asked.
Just drop your management address into the chat and we'll just see how good your sandboxing is and your isolation.
Yeah, Maniac.io, man. Try to get it. It's all isolated, man. Everything is isolated. Does that have internet? Some of it has internet. I'm sure there's ways to. Their only way to get into my environment is if you hack my phone and get access to my Telegram or.
All right, man.
That's about it. That's all you can do.
Let's pop open up Shodan
and I think
see if anything's public facing at the moment.
And I think a couple months ago, when I think it was OpenClaw I had running on Telegram or at some agents, and it was literally sending Mike messages without me. Remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
I totally didn't have any. And at that time, he had no idea, but he had actually had full access to my infrastructure, and I had no idea. I didn't have any access list. That was the first days of OpenClaw.
Opportunity missed.
And I'm like, oh my god, and it sent it to all my WhatsApp contacts. It was just sending it like, hey, what's up?
You could have been opening and closing the garage all night.
Oh, dude, you could have been playing NSYNC, Backstreet Boys through my entire house speaker system, nonstop.
That's cool.
And so question, are you doing any type of connectivity with that stuff on your Cybertruck?
No, I'm not actually. No. That'd
be interesting.
I've been trying. I wanted to dive in. Like when I first got it, I joined like some community groups. And there's people that actually build like Raspberry Pi. So in all the Tesla cars, you can have a USB and you can connect like some data store or something like that. I've seen people build have Raspberry Pis plugged into their trucks and their cars to get more out of it. I just haven't.
There's
I don't want to play around with something my kids are in.
Yeah, no, man, don't play around with your kids are in just your entire house. That can
Well, a house is different, right? Turning off YouTube, speaker system, cameras, right? All that stuff is. My locks don't. I used to have all my light switches in my previous house on AI. I mean, not on AI, but on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I hate that because the power goes out. You got to reset them.
Oh, same.
It's so annoying.
But the one positive, I convinced my son that he could use the Force, that he was a Jedi, and he would go stand and shut his eyes and put his hand up, and I would make the light come on from another room.
Nice.
I kept that going for 2 years. But a power outage just threw my whole game out. I had to run around and reset all the points in the wall.
So like those things I won't do. Like I won't do. Because I had to I actually had my oven used to be Wi-Fi, and I think I mentioned this a couple of times, but my oven was Wi-Fi, and it was updating itself every quarter on a Saturday at 9:00. I'm like, my oven and microwave were one thing, so I couldn't use my microwave or the oven on a Sunday in the morning when I have to make breakfast. It's ridiculous. So there's certain things
you said earlier, though. I think you very linked to the security topic we're talking about, where the vulnerability there was not the way in. It was the fact that your system was out talking to people it shouldn't have. Is that not the whole problem that we've just seen from these frontier model providers? It's the path out, and let's be fair, exfiltration is the biggest security threat. You need 1 week server that's not patched to come in, and then you've got lateral movement to get to where you need. You've got all the time in the world because people can't watch everything all day long, and then you pull the data out. That used to be the way that everyone was getting data out. Now you've got these AI systems. You don't have to hack your way in. They're communicating. They're
sending out.
out.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. To your point, everybody, I would say 99% of people that are like trying to secure AI, they're worried about the input. Nobody's thinking about the response.
Yeah.
And so, like, don't forget about ads. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Using ads on these fridges, man.
They like, I'm assuming the Samsung, they scan, they can see, like the Roomba a couple years ago, they were selling their data.
Oh yeah.
Right. I'm sure the Samsungs and all those fridges that have the camera on
100%.
saying, hey, you're missing milk. Boom. Now your Instagram feed is all about, almond milk or whatever you're into, or, whatever you want to buy.
I'd go full Ron Swanson and throw that computer into the that fridge would be in a dumpster.
Yeah. But it's so what everybody has to remember is like, yes, like securing the input, right? Like prompt guards, guardrails, elicitation for like mid tool calls, like all these things are important. But like, remember, there's this thing called a context, right? And this context is back and forth. So it's input and output. It's input and response. So you have to secure the response as well. So like, for example, sorry, I just had a malfunction. So
I knew he wasn't real.
What
I knew he's AI.
What happened with
hallucinating
Claude,
right
for
now.
example, is like Claude went and figured out, or OpenAI was like, hey, I can get out of this and go do something else, right? And it broke out and hit the internet. That breakout is not from an input from you. That breakout is based on a response. The LLM was thinking through, and it got a response back from itself, whatever you want to call, say, oh, actually, I need to go and do this. So you need to secure that response as well. The response is maybe even more important than the input, because that's what makes the rule, right? Like if you go and you look at the output, like from whatever agent you're using, like it is debating with itself, and then it responds back with something. You need to secure that response. That's where the majority of issues occur, is the response.
Yet another reason you need a gateway, and not talking straight out to the providers. You need a
100%.
gateway that's got guardrail capabilities and policy and governance around it, because that's where stuff goes bad.
And that's why it's so easy to plug Agent Gateway, right? Because like, how else are you going to do it? Like, you need some, like, I always say this, and I say this on a lot of like customer calls too. It's like, think about point A to point B. Like point A is your agent, point B is your LLM or MCP server or whatever, right? You have a line of communication in the middle there. Everything has to go through some line of communication. You need some gateway sitting there, and that's where all of your security configurations lie. I mean, I would say 90% of your security configurations, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, but like 90% of your security configurations for agentic workflows is coming from the gateway. Like you have some stuff with your agent, right? Like you're setting up like OIDC based OAuth. You have some like, no, not even prompt guarding. I like, but there's some stuff that's there, right? From like your runtime, but the majority of it is at the gateway level. It's at that line of communication. And that's why it's so easy to talk about Agent Gateway, because it's like any conversation of like, well, I need my agent to only have access to these 3 tools. I need my agent to act on behalf of this user. I need a policy set up so this agent only talks to this LLM. Like whatever it is, it's always something from your gateway.
And you want that observability. Like I think
Touched
the point, right? You want
who and what are they doing? And I'm the only person doing AI in this house. Yeah.
Why did they start doing it? Why did this agent start doing this? Like I've seen iterations of my agents that check on existing products that we're building, and they give me an outline of what was pushed. Probably I've seen 3 different iterations where I had the same message. It was perfect and clean. And then now it's kind of a little bit different. I'm like, oh, and the messages will look a little bit different. I don't want them to be. So I keep on editing that agent MD file inside these agents, because I'm like, oh no, why are you adding all these emojis? I don't want emojis in. Like I want it to be like it was before. I don't want you to add these extra things. Look at it. But I needed that observability to see. So now I'm actually observing the output. I have another agent that observes the output of some of the changes that are coming out from my agents, because I want to see why. Why is it different now? Even if it's the same model. Like I've literally had the same model. Like I was using Grok 4.5 like 3 weeks ago to now, and I'm like, oh, it looks different. The same model, right? And I'm switching one of my agents with Claude and one with GPT, just to see the difference. And then I have my local model. My local model, always the same, perfect. Literally, I've tuned this thing using Gwen, and it's always the same. And I love it. It's doing a small task, but it's literally never changes. So now I'm trying to evaluate, are they actually sometimes rate limiting me to different models, or are they doing like
they do that by default, but yeah.
Or are you getting a stale response, something that's being cached, or
like I'm not sure yet. So I'm trying now to evaluate it, because my local model, though it's slower, right? Not the smartest one, but it's consistently outputs exactly the same way I want it to.
Yeah, and you have so much more control, right? Like that's why the constant topic of like KV caching keeps coming up. Whether you're managing KV caching at the model or you're doing KV cache aware based routing, but again, you have to have the ability to manage that backend storage, which you can't with like public LLMs, but you can with open weight models. Yeah.
And for the right workload, give it the right task. I mean, what's a slight delay for a local model that's not doing a real-time communication like chat? If you're probably running an eventual consistency model if you're using microservices anyway, because otherwise you'll go crazy. And therefore, who cares if that local model took a little bit longer to get that done because it's doing a routine scheduling? Like, get all those out of the frontier model that's burning your tokens and like crazy, because that just makes sense.
Do you find it hard? Like, I do anything, I'm like, biggest model right away. I still, for some reason, I'm like, mentally, why should I use 4.5? I got 4.6 now. Let's go.
But the trap there is you do your ideation around the smarter model, and then when you back it off, it doesn't work the same way, and you're like, true. But it scales.
I guess it's different because I'm not, the $200 a month or whatever I'm paying is peanuts, right? But now when you're an enterprise, you can't think like that. You have to, and then you have to charge it back to the customer, all those things like that. There's a lot to think about when architecting.
That never-ending fear of what if this is really successful.
Well, and also, I mean, I think another thing there is model quality. People have gotten so used to like this rapid response, right? Like we live in this world that like I don't have to leave my house for anything at any point, because we've gotten so used to just like what's the word, instant gratification. So like with models, it's the same thing. So like you have like a couple second delay, you're like, what is going on here? Like total side note too, Opit, like I haven't really used Claude models for a while, to be honest. GPT 5.6 is okay. I've gotten a ton of great results over the past day and a half from Grok 4.5.
Yeah, me too.
I'm really like, for some reason it just really stepped its game up the past couple days. I bought it was like $90 for the 3 months or whatever for like Super Grok, and I've been using Grok Build as the harness. I'm really enjoying it.
I really like I like the Grok Build as a harness.
I like Grok Build too.
Like I don't know, there's something, and then now they open sourced it after that little debacle of the storing everybody's Git repos in their S3 buckets. Like, oopsies.
So
but
I know
it's good.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Seb.
No, I was just saying I just like using the actual terminal itself.
Yeah. So I know this wasn't like a talking point for today, but like I know I ask you probably like once a week. Do you think that buying that? Well, we have a lot of conversations once per week, but not this one is more around like I know you still think that like the DGX Spark was not worth the money. So like if I want to run an open weight model today, like what do I do? Should I go through Open Router? Should I go through Firecracker? Should I spin up a Kubernetes cluster and like use Azure credits or AWS credits or whatever to host models? It's very expensive from a GPU standpoint, so maybe I want to use models that are well known for CPU instead of GPU. Like what should I be doing right now? I mean, I don't know if there's an answer, but
it really depends on the use cases. I find like I have the DGX and I use it for I've tuned it. I started tuning it right towards specific use cases like Agent Gateway, like the products we're selling and building. It's tuned for those products, so it understands those products very well with the latest releases and code. That's what I use it for, to get knowledge from it, and it learns, and I'm training it.
Right.
But it takes time for me to train it. Right. Yep. Could I use Open Router and all these things? Well, yeah, 100%. Like if I want to test new models and do different things, right? That's a different use case of me doing other things with it. Do you want it to write code for you? It's probably cheaper to pay your $200 or your $20 or through Cursor or to get all that stuff. I think it is. It all depends on if you're really getting into the models and building them yourself and fine tuning them. Yeah, you have compute to do it. It might not be DGX. AMD's got some amazing new stuff out right now. You can build your own, 5080s or whatever it is. So you don't need that platform.
Do you think, I mean, is another option, is this a good option? I don't know. Is it a good option to spend the, what is it, 5,600 or whatever for the M5 Max?
Ooh.
I mean,
I think the Studio Max for sure. If you're going to do local stuff, I think the Studio Max for sure. The studios that are going to come out probably, they're saying in the next couple months or something.
And can I say, like, this is why I think, like, so I have the M4 Max right now, which is okay. Like, but
it's a great machine. Come on.
No, I'm saying for like if I want to fine tune a model, model locally and stuff.
You're gonna run Gwen 3.6 probably 3 billion.
Right. So, but the M5 Max is significantly more powerful, and you know what's really cool? I don't need internet connection. Right. So like, let's say like I'm running something locally in my house, right? And I go on vacation or I do whatever, and I want to pop open my agent. I can't interact with it unless I have like a VPN connection set up, or I'm like putting a public facing IP, versus like if I have my model on my M5, I can access it at any time and I can tune it. I can run the model that I want to run. I can connect to it via open code, and everything's local. So I'm not worrying about inference speeds because it's local. So I'm not going over any VPN connection, right? I'm not losing any performance. I don't know, but I don't know if that's the right answer. And like, I also just like don't want to spend $6,000 just to test it out and be like, nah, this wasn't.
If like mine sits at home and I connect it through Telegram or what's it called? AFOA from keyboard plugin.
But right? Let me ask you this. But have you tested have you tested like if I run a model locally versus if you're at Starbucks and you hit your local model and your DGX Spark, what does the performance differences look like?
I haven't grabbed those performance numbers.
Yeah,
because the way I use it, it's update documentation or review docs, and I let it go and I get answers from it eventually. Like it's running cron, it's running scheduled jobs and tasks.
Sure.
That, like Nathan said, I don't use it as a chatbot. I use it as a way to process things locally for it to do stuff, right?
And I'm just using CPUs like Olama's CPP, like for stuff like. So here's the argument I'll put back to this, like dedicated committing to hardware. Everyone saw the big, Kimi 3 release and how it was better. It passed certain aspects of kind of capability for code, but if you go a little deeper and you look at like what it takes to run that open model like locally, you need a data center in your house. Like you need so much RAM to run that model, even if you aggressively like pull that back as much as you want, and you go the lower quantized, like it still needs like a terabyte of RAM. Like So you've got to think, what am I doing here? Like buying hardware it could be so invalid that like in a year it could be a toaster.
But that's now, right? If you look at the new laptops that are coming out, the RTX supercomputers, they're calling them, or whatever, that Jensen was talking about, like Dell's going to have their own, HP is going to have their own. And he was saying that you could probably run like 1 trillion parameter models on your laptop.
Yeah. The new RTX, right? That's based on the DGX chip, right?
Yeah. So
but then what's the requirement going to be by the time we get that hardware?
That's true. Like,
I don't know. Yeah,
right? You're still going to run your 32 tabs, and Chrome's going to crush it.
I feel like we're back in the x86 days where all you ever did was pray for the next like 486, then the 586. So all you were doing was chasing like more.
Like, because you get the M7s have been, the rumors about the new M7s are out for the Apple Silicon, right? 2027 M7, 1.2 terabytes of RAM. Right. Like,
no.
Well, you're going to want one of those.
But that's the way I think about it, right? Because it's like, for me, like my workflows are more engineering centric. So like I'm still running an IDE. I'm still looking at a code base. I have my terminal up. I'm running agents via my terminal. Like I want my agent that I'm running locally, right, to be able to just hit some model that I have tuned to be very good at agent workflows or agent gateway workflows or whatever, right? Like I still want to do things programmatically. So like that's why I'm thinking like the M5, these new RTX laptops, like this might be the way. But to your guys' point, very good point. Like they're saying, wow, 1 point whatever terabytes of RAM and 20, you're going to be able to run anything now, but in 2 years or in a year, you
or
might
6 months, given the way things are
or
going.
6 months,
exactly. You might need 4 terabytes. Like who knows? You know,
So I did some pricing though. Like I took the price of like an NVIDIA Spark and was like, okay, how much credits can I buy? For how many years can I do training? And very quickly the math around me buying hardware, because that's a lot of credits of
Right.
Other than if you're running out of tokens, like I do constantly, actually.
It's because I keep using them, man. I'm in your environment. I'm sorry.
Someone's using my tokens. I run it locally. But
you need to install the new cost dashboard with budgeting into your home environment. That's LTS now.
Unlimited right now.
Production ready, bro.
I do have the cost. I am running the enterprise inside my home lab in one case to get all my cost numbers. And I just added a cost for local because I've wanted to, and I posted on LinkedIn like every couple weeks. I wanted to see the transition of me using the frontier models to me using open source models. And I'm slowly inching more of my compute is local. At least my requests and whatever all my agents are doing is local now itself. Right. Like I built my own tax agent, right? And I used my AI to help me with taxes. And help me with like managing finance and stuff like that. And it did
to pay taxes, not avoid taxes, right? Just a
well, no, I'm still paying
maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah, I'm still paying a lot of taxes, but it did. I've customized it to myself, and I used it locally because I just don't trust all my, all my information out there. So I use it locally to manage my books and my payments and stuff.
I even so like for me, I used this week. I wanted to switch up my workouts a little bit. I was doing more like a like how fit should I be, right? So it's like I was doing everything. I was doing a lot of endurance stuff, a lot of strength, a lot of conditioning, a lot of powerlifting, and I used AI to like formulate it, and it knows what I'm trying to do because I've asked it a ton of other questions around like, hey, I'm thinking about this supplement. What do you think? Like, this is where I'm at with my back surgery, blah, blah, blah. So like it knows how to formulate this for me. And I even put together a new like brain stack, right? Where I was like I'm taking more fish oil now. I'm taking a little bit more like lion's mane stuff, like the mushrooms and the nootropics. I'm trying to figure out a good combination of stack. And it's able to help me with that. Why? Because it knows what my goals are. It knows what I do for a living.
Yeah.
It knows what I'm working on day to day. It knows what like my role is like at Solo. So I'm like, hey, I want to optimize this like brain stack for what I'm doing day to day.
I did the same. That's so cool. We should talk about that.
Yeah. I just started the stack today actually, because it formulated like a bunch of stuff for me. So it's really cool.
Very cool.
All right. So I know we got a couple minutes left.
Are we up to item 2 on the agenda of topics today? Did we get past?
Yeah, I think we did. I think we done good today.
We've done good.
What are things that you guys are doing, or like anything random actually for next week that you guys are kind of looking into investigating from an agentic perspective or AI or security? Is there anything specific that kind of you're like, man, this grinds my gears, I want to do some more research on it, or hey, this is cool, or that's coming up?
Really good question.
For next week specifically?
Well, just like in the next, couple weeks that you're like working on some side stuff that you're trying to understand more.
So I was really focused on local model stuff for the past couple of weeks, like running them in Kubernetes, right? So I was like using VLLM to serve local models, and then I was routing to them with like Kserve and the router between Kserve and VLLM. I was using Agent Gateway for that, for like the actual inference routing underneath the hood, which was cool. So I was doing a lot of like the open weight local stuff over the next couple weeks. The answer is depends on where my customers need me to go. That's always what I'm focusing on. But personally, I don't know. I just wrapped up all like the local stuff that I was working on. So probably this weekend I'll come up with like what my next personal focuses are going to be for the next couple
Are
weeks.
you doing any talks or anything in the next in August?
No, I have the open source one in October. I'm waiting for one more to come in to see if it gets approved. And I just did the MCP one this week. No, those are the only other ones on the docket. I did the webinar on Tuesday with Eon.
Elon?
Elon, no, Eon, EON. Actually, so speaking of that, in August 14th, if you're in the New York, New Jersey, PA area, the AIF New York chapter is doing a hops and flops. So we're meeting up at a brewery. Solo is sponsoring the first round of beers. So definitely feel free to come out and do that. And then we're also going to do in September. Now that I'm thinking about this, I have more than I originally thought. In September, we're hosting at AWS in New York. I don't know exactly what office yet, but we're going to be hosting some sessions on open weight models and stuff. So actually, I do have a lot of stuff coming up in terms of evangelism.
And we have a great session coming up on August 4th, a deep dive workshop into MCP. And I foolishly didn't connect my Google account to this streaming platform, so I can't drop the link in. But if one of you guys,
I got it ready for you. You just scan that QR code, and it'll go right to that webinar on August 4th.
August 4th, hands-on workshop for the MCP, new MCP spec.
Correct. Yeah. So I actually went through the workshop. It is an awesome workshop. Eitan built it. Our professor here. We call him the professor, or at least Matt and I do. But it is a great instruct workshop that Lynn and Christian are going to walk through that tell you about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And a lot of the stuff that, Nathan and Mike talked about with that protocol change and with MCP update itself.
Yeah, so get your first-hand experience. And so I took a quick look at my Kanban board because I forgot what I'm doing next week, and that's how I remember. I'm actually going to try and get Agent Gateway running in places that now that we have the standalone, I want to see what information I can get running it on various platforms. And the first one I have on my list is Render. So I want to put it on render.com. I'm going to put it agent in there, maybe just an MCP against some like mock data, and use that as my visibility for egress. So not for ingress kind of access. I want to just use that to see like just how it runs as a platform, because that standalone, I think it uses like 20 mega RAM. Like it is so efficient and lightweight that, you know, these platforms are great. These container abstraction platforms now, like you don't have to know EKS or AKS. They're great things if you have that skill in your environment. But if you're like a house of one like me who does not want to stand up a good cluster and pay for it, I want to just drop some containers somewhere. And so a place like Render is great for me to just test and experiment. But I equally don't want to be blind to what's going on. I don't want to have policy against max spend, because if I do something dodgy and it goes crazy overnight, I don't want to get that bill the next morning or have the thing shut down because I hit a limit. And I was like, hey, I should just put Agent Gateway like on. It's a container. I can just throw the container. Like, I came up with this idea like last weekend. Like I'm just gonna start seeing where I can run Agent Gateway on these hosted kind of platforms, because a lot of them have crazy good free tiers that you can just experiment and start developing on. So I can host my own MCP out there on the internet behind a domain name for free, but I don't want to do it without some basic policy and some visibility. And Agent Gateway standalone is the answer to that.
I was literally doing that with my students, not on Render, but Blue Ocean. Oh my God, Blue Ocean, Blue Ocean. Oh,
DigitalOcean.
DigitalOcean, geez, DigitalOcean, and Fly.io, because they had a free tier, and so when we were doing like A2A and MCP security in the course I teach, I literally just spun it up in DigitalOcean for free, because everybody got automatically get like $100 or $200 or something credits. I'm like, guys, just spin it up. Don't run it on your machine. Do it. Let's do it in the cloud and tear it down. Oh yeah. And Fly.io is another great one. Like I use Fly.io, spin them up, spin them down.
Exactly. I became super intrigued. Like we built this standalone because there's workloads. Like what if just me running in my IDE and I'm prototyping a solution that's going to go onto Kubernetes? It's not on there to start with. And so how am I working out kind of what it's doing, where it's blowing up, where its contact windows are just getting crazy? Like Agent Gateway just gives you all of that so brilliantly. So I'm just trying to work out how can I natively build it into all of the surface areas that I like to build code on, so that it just becomes part of my default stack, so that even when it goes to production, when it does go to Kubernetes, if that's where it ends up, I already know exactly like the policies that I got in front of it, the routes that are set up. They just become artifacts of my code that I'm running. And I already started doing it. I'm running it like locally on my machine and just running it as a proxy locally and pushing my traffic through it. And it's been so helpful, and it's part of the Agentic AI Foundation. It's in the AIF. It's the only gateway in the AIF. Like we gave this to the community, and it's just so cool to be able to set it up and run it. And it's like one command and it's running. It's the
awesome.
Easiest config you can imagine to just get up and running. A Docker run and boom. And so yeah, I want to start seeing where I can run it. Like I want to run this thing everywhere, and I'm just curious. Like it has so little requirements that it hits the factor of everything I've looked at, and I want to go a little crazy on the dev side, the non-cluster, and just see what I can bring it to that I work on.
Take a look at this link, and this is Tom from Solo. He put this up. He actually used Agent Gateway in a standalone. This is a bit more elaborate inside of an EC2's. Added an Azure backend, S3, secrets manager. Made it full productionized deployment of the standalone with HA capabilities. So I'm actually, next week, I'm actually going to be doing something like this, but locally, where I'm just going to be deploying it in Linux containers, LXCs, inside my Proxmox, because I just love doing everything locally, and adding a database in the back end, putting some type of load balancer in the front, probably F5, because I have F5 stuff. Putting a FortiGate in front of it, because it's still not a fire. You got to have a firewall in front of it, and I'm gonna be playing around with that locally itself, and seeing. I'll actually want to try to push like some performance stuff. You're
the only one here with full production hardware in your home.
Yes. I have enterprise grade firewalls that you'll see most banks running at home. But no, this was great, guys.
Good
great
chat,
chat.
man.
We have that QR code up
Right.
top for the webinar next week. And the week after that, Mike and I think Nathan, you might be in it. We have another webinar with D-Zone where we're talking about cost
August 14th.
management, chargeback. So it's a fun summer of cost, agent substrates, MCP.
I think we're planning another substrate session as well pretty soon. We did one. If you want to go back to check the solo events page, you can see the recording there. It's actually us three. So same kind of dynamic for the agent substrate, but we're going to keep running that because that thing is evolving so fast. Like we are going to keep updating you guys. So yeah, if you missed that one and you want to bring some questions, which are hard to ask on an on-demand session because nobody's there, come to the next one where we're gonna. I think I just live signed you guys up for another one. So
you just did it. You did it, man.
But we're doing it. Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, guys.
Awesome. Thanks,
Have a
y'all.
good weekend. Thanks, guys.
Later.